Let's go, family. What is going on? It is your boy DeAndre Saxton back here for the Saxton Show. We are on another episode. We are rocking and we are rolling. If you guys don't recognize, right now we are in beautiful Miami, Florida. I know I missed last episode, guys. I was traveling. I was coming from Medellin, Colombia, but now I'm back in Miami, but only for another 3 days. This Thursday, I'm heading off to North Carolina for a nice cabin retreat. And then afterwards, heading off to Bolivia, Santa Cruz de la Sierra with one of my close friends. So I'll be in South America for 1 month, or in Bolivia for 1 month. And then after that, I will be in Buenos Aires, Argentina. But for the meantime, I'm here with the beautiful family. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button if you're watching for the very first time. And let's get started. How to make $10,000 per month or more within the next 3 months. Let's hop straight into it. Like I mentioned, my name is DeAndre Saxton. At the age of 25 years old, I built a 7-figure coaching and consulting business. And now my mission on this YouTube channel is to teach young men how to become high-value men. I'm on a search on seeking out what does it truly mean to be a high-value man? What does it really mean to be a man that's valuable to the marketplace? A man that earns 6 to 7 figures, a man that's quality in his relationships with women, with friends, with his God, with himself, with his body, and who moves in a state of character and integrity that shakes the room. So I'm not saying I'm there yet, but it's something that I am seeking. I feel like I'm the Napoleon Hill of today's age, and I'm seeking out. Actually, I'm gonna tell you guys a secret. You guys want to know a secret? Oh, I got some nice stuff lined up for you on this podcast. I've been doing research. What makes a really good podcast? Because, we got some people watching live, but I'm talking about, I want to see 5,000, 3,000, 10,000 people watching live. And I realized that has to be something slightly different. So moving forward into the future episodes, we're going to be doing more interview style calls, podcasts, where I'm going to seek out who I believe to be high value men in different areas of their life. It can be in fitness, business, finances, or whoever. We're going to seek out and we're going to bring those men on this podcast and we're going to interview them. We want to get the perspective of what it means to be a high value man when it comes to your wealth, your relationships, women, and every area of your life. So that's going to be some stuff you can start to see coming in and integrating into the Saxton Show here within the next week or two. But without further ado, we're going to get straight into it. How to make $10,000 per month within the next 3 months. I think that before we even get started talking about $10,000 a month, I think the first thing we have to talk about is we got to hit this belief level. As I said that, some of you thought 2 things. There were 2 thoughts that came in your mind, or actually 3. One person said, there's no way I can earn $10,000 per month within the next 3 months. The reason this person is thinking this is because they're looking at their past results. They could be 25, 27, 19, 37, 57. It doesn't matter. And they look at their past income over the last couple years, maybe last couple months, and it's nowhere near $10,000 a month. It's taken them maybe, 3, 4, 5, 6 months to even earn $10,000 a month, let alone be earning that per month within 3 months. So this person, that's the first type of person. The second type of person says this, okay, let's do it. I'm ready to rock and roll. They're ready to learn. They got their notebooks out. And guys, there was points where I was earning $10,000 per day. That's how much, that's just how it works. The third person says, how am I going to earn $10,000 a month, DeAndre? So this episode is for those last 2 people. Put on your seatbelts. Let's turn the ignition on. Let's put the car in first gear and let's rock and let's roll. Let's get you to $10,000 a month. We talk about being a high value man on this podcast. And I think one of the first steps and one of the biggest things that men get categorized on or judged on is their income. Guys, as much as you want to talk about it, a high value man is a man that earns 6 to 7 figures a year. Now, do you have to be a millionaire? No, but you got to be at $10,000 a month. I was talking to my clients last night and I was telling them that in 2022, if you're not earning at minimum $10,000 a month, I don't believe you're working. Hear what I said here. I didn't say I don't believe you're working. You're probably working hard. Quite in fact, you're probably working harder than me. I probably earn more this week than most people will earn all month, and I put 0 hours into my businesses. Well, why is that? Because I've set up multiple streams of income that have allowed me to earn multiple six figures a month at some periods, but have allowed me to earn over seven figures by the time I was 25 years old. And there was a couple laws that are in place that will allow you to do this. So in today's episode, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be breaking down two different things. The first half is I'm going to be passing this over to Bob Proctor. As you guys know, I studied under Bob Proctor for 2 years. And if it wasn't for Bob, there's no way I would have earned seven figures within 2 years of meeting him if it wasn't for some of the principles. So what I'm going to show you guys is actually an amazing secret. So the first thing we got to do is I see we got a few people watching live. Hit that like button. Hit that like button right now. If you're watching on Facebook, if you're watching on YouTube right now, hit that like button. That way we can get some out so I can see you guys are actually interacting with this. And what I'm going to show you right now is actually an exclusive video from Bob Proctor himself. I can almost guarantee you have never seen this video. And in this about 15-minute video, Bob's going to be talking about how to actually earn your first 6 to 7 figures this year within the next 90 days. All right, so drop a like right now on the video. That way I know you're ready to rock and roll. And because I'm giving this information away for free, guys, for most people to work with me, just in my group setting, is $10,000 for 6 months. If anybody wants to work with me one-on-one, I charge $10,000 per month. And I'm doing all of this for free right here on this podcast because I love to do it. And it gets me, going, gets me motivated. So hit that like button. So without further ado, we're going to pass it over to Bob. Once we're done with Bob, I'm going to teach you the law of compensation, how I've actually manipulated the laws of the universe to help me earn multiple 5 figures per month, at some points, multiple 6 figures per month, and that you can do the same. So without further ado, get out your notebook, get out a pen. Let's pass it over to Uncle Bobby P himself so he can teach us from this exclusive video on how to actually become a better version of yourself and earn your first 6 figures within the next 3 months. Let's do it.
We're going to go through 6 steps. You'll see them on page 11. I want to recommend, we're going to spend a long time on these. I want to recommend that you commit the...
I want to double check that you guys can actually hear this, okay? Let me, so if you guys can drop in the chat, I want to make sure you guys can hear the audio. That's the most important thing. Chrome tab. Here, share audio. Okay, it should work now.
These 6 steps and the process that each one calls for, commit them to memory. I'll tell you what it would be like. If you come into your front door and all the doors are out, you may be careful, you pay attention to what you're doing, but if the place was pitch black, all the power's off, you could find yourself to where you had to go in the house because you're that familiar with the house. Now, you could feel your way along, and that's what you're going to do. You feel your way along. Feeling is conscious awareness of vibration. If I feel what you're saying is not what you're telling me, if what you're saying is one thing, what I'm feeling is another, I will know it. Now, I've got a highly tuned in intuitive factor. I can read energy and understand when you're reading energy, it doesn't matter where you are because it's like a telephone line. It's omnipresent. You're not dealing with an intellectual or physical world. You're dealing in the universal side of life. That's what the intuition does. The intuition enables you to go into the universal side of life, pick up vibration, and you're going to be doing that. That's great salespeople are really very intuitive. Well, it would be like wandering through a place that you're very familiar with. You'd feel your way, but you get to where you want to go in the house. Let's suppose you walked into a strange place. God, you could walk right into a stairwell, go down, break your neck if you don't know the place. That's what salespeople who aren't really salespeople. They're order takers. They go out looking for somebody that's going to buy from them, okay? So I want you to pay very close attention to this, okay? Now, here we go with number 1. This is so good. You must get the prospect's attention. You got to get their attention. This involves the activity of the conscious mind. How do you do that? Now we're going to go at it 2 or 3 different ways. If I've got your conscious attention, I'm talking to you about what you're interested in, not what I'm interested in, what you're interested in. If I'm talking about what I'm interested in, I'll lose your attention. Just like that. If I want to get your conscious attention, I have to find out what you're interested in. How do I do that? Well, that's the little small talk in the beginning. That's when you start, you're building a rapport with this person, okay? You're building a rapport with them. Now let's take a look at step number 2. Step number 2 is interest. You're going to get the prospect interested in your idea. You're never going to get them interested if you haven't got their attention. How are they going to get interested in the idea? This involves the activity of the conscious mind leads to the harmonious activity of the subconscious mind. I've got to be talking about what you want. You know, the Dale Carnegie course has a good idea. They have you put on every person's forehead, MMFI, make me feel important. You're going to make them feel important. But it can't be flattery, can't be false praise. You've got to really deliver. You've got to be very interested in them to get them interested in you. How do you get a person interested? You've got to be interesting. You have to be interesting. How do you be loved? You've got to be lovable. A person with bad attitude is not lovable. Got to be lovable. A person that's not interested in their clients, they're not interesting. You know, I have pointed out at the end of seminars, or maybe I've had people for a week, maybe 3 days. At the end of it, I said, you know, most of you are going to go away and say, you know, that Proctor's a nice guy. He's a real nice guy. And you don't even know me. At the end of the 3 days, you don't even know me. I've been talking about you for 3 days. Anything I've told you about me, I've told you the same thing 6 different ways. It's just the same thing. You don't really know me. If I was talking about me for 3 days, you'd be gone. I talk about you for 3 days. When you sit down and you get really interested in your prospect, you won't have trouble thinking of ideas. Now we're going to suggest later on how you do that. What's the third step? Well, here we go. You must get the prospect to want what you have. You've got to get them to want it. They've got to want what you've got. I want you to look around your house. I look around the studio here. Now, there's some things in here in the studio that I need to do what I need to do. But there's a lot of stuff here I don't need. You know why I got it? I want it. Makes it more comfortable. It's more pleasurable to work in here. I have a beautiful sound system. When I come in the morning, I just tap that little surface and soft music is just flowing through here all day long. It's beautiful. I don't need that. I wanted it. People get what they want. Great salespeople are want creators. You're going to find out what they want. Then you've got to help them understand they can have anything they want. When people tell you they can't afford it, you know what they're telling you? You've never made me want what you've got. That's really what they're telling you. I remember when I first read Think and Grow Rich, I mean, to say I was broke is a ridiculous statement. I was earning $4,000 a year. I owed $6,000. I could not pay my debts. I didn't have enough money to live on with the $4,000. I wanted to buy a used floor machine and some buckets and mops. A guy sold me on the idea that if I had my own machine and some buckets and mops, and I got contracts to clean some offices, I could earn more money in a few hours than I was earning working hard. He sold me on the idea. I wouldn't have lent me money. I was not a good person to lend money to because I wouldn't pay it back. It's not that I didn't want to. I wasn't dishonest. I just never had enough money to pay it back. But I found a guy, his name was Al Kuiper. He managed like a little bank, not a securities, like a credit union. And he said, what do you want the money for? And I told him, and I was enthusiastic. I mean, I really wanted it. He said, something, I'm going to give it to you. And I bought a used floor machine, some buckets and mops. Do you know, within a year, I was earning $15,000 a month with that used floor machine, some buckets and mops. Within 5 years, I was cleaning offices in Toronto, Montreal, Boston, Cleveland, Atlanta, London, England. I was earning over $1 million a year. I'm a good salesman. I was a very good cleaner. I was a real good cleaner. And I built a business with this material. I got the cleaners excited about getting another contract to clean because they'd earn more money and they'd get what they want. I always found out what they wanted. I'd drop around in the middle of the night and I'd have coffee and donuts and I'd sit down. I was always dressed up. See, if I went in old work clothes, I knew they'd be tired. I knew how tired you get because I did it. And if I went in old work clothes, they'd expect me to help so they could go home to bed. But if I went and I was all dressed up, shirt and tie, that's when I started to wear shirt and tie, and I've never taken them off. Some people think I sleep in them. They wouldn't expect me to clean. So I'd sit with some coffee, donuts, and I'd talk to them about their goal. That would revitalize them. Then I'd go and buy some more coffee and donuts and go to another place, do the same thing. Helping people get what they want. You're going to help people get what they want. That's what desire is. Desire, you must help the person build a desire. You not only have to help them find out what they want, you got to get them emotionally involved with it. See, this involves the activity of the subconscious mind, the emotional mind, and leads to physical activity. Yeah, they act on it. In the Science of Getting Rich, that's what Wallace D. Ronald says. He said, desire is the effort of the unexpressed possibility within, seeking expression without through your action. Comes from the Latin desire, to give birth to the children. The children is the idea. Most people's ideas are stillborn and never execute. Why? Okay. So what are we doing? We're getting their attention. We get their attention. How do we do that? Talk about what they want. Talk about where they've been. I've got stock answer questions that I ask people, So we ask questions. We gather information. And I find out what they like, you see. I was talking to my son one day on the phone. We were going into New York. We're speaking at the Carnegie Hall. Anyway, he went in ahead of time. He says, Dad, you should see the car. I just went to see this car. It was, I don't know, a little English car. I forgot what it was called. But it was an old, it was very, very old. But it was in mint condition. I said, why don't you get it? I got talking to him. He has the car now, okay? Find out what they want. Talk to them. Help them figure out how to get it. Just help them get what they want. You got to get their attention. You got to get them interested in what? In what they want. You got to find out what they want. Talk to them with conviction. Then you got to get them emotionally involved. That's where the desire comes in. And after that, then step 4 is action. You got to ask for the order, baby. If you can't close, you can't sell. It's that simple. If you cannot close, you can't sell. You'll hear people say, well, I'm in sales, but I just can't close. You're not in sales. You're in research. You're just wandering around talking. That's where the action comes in. You got to get one of these things and get somebody to put their name on a predetermined dotted line, decreeing that what you've got now belongs to them. That's closing a sale. But it's got to be done properly. Make no mistake about it. It's got to be done properly. Okay? Now look at this. You must give the prospect a directive to purchase what you're selling. This involves the physical expression of the mental activity. It's the indication that successful execution of the steps 1 through 3 and leads to positive results. See, it's a process and you're just moving them along. You're taking them in a path of agreement. This is the path of agreement. You got their attention. And then when you had their attention, you got them talking about what they're interested in. Then you got them interested in something. Might be a house, a car, building a bigger business, increase in sales. If I'm calling on people, I know they want to increase sales. I know it. I may talk to them and say, who's your number 1 salesperson? Just give me the first name. Now give me the name of the lowest salesperson. I'll say, what do you think the difference in the two is? I don't know. Harry's a smart guy. It isn't that Harry's a smart guy. Harry's got a good paradigm. The other guy's got a bad one. And I start to leak information to them that I can show them how to take the one that's low and have him going higher than the one that's high. Because they all have the same potential. And it won't take me long to get that idea across, and the person will have to agree with me. Yeah, they do have the same potential. All science and all theology teach it. So you see, as we start to understand this, the action step, you got to ask for the order. If you don't ask for the order, you are never going to make the sale. Never. You have to give them a directive. You got their attention. You got them interested. You got them emotionally involved. Move on it. That's what you have to do. And if you don't do that, you don't deserve to win. Now, that's step 4. Here's step 5. You got to let the prospect know, you've closed the sale now, you got to let them know that they now are a client of your company. And your responsibility as a salesperson is to be of service to them. That's your responsibility. You want them to feel comfortable. You didn't just buy this, you bought me. I'm the added value, as a matter of fact. This involves communicating the idea to them that they have moved from being a prospect to being a client. And this leads to step 6. Proper service ensures that your client does not leave your company and become a client of another company in your market. This is what proper service does. You see, this involves ongoing communication and professional service, which always leads to additional business volume and never-ending flow of new clients. They bring their friends. Okay? Now think about it. That's what service is. When the sale's over, it's never over. Never. If you're just getting in and making a quick hit, and that's how it happens, you're never going to do very well. You got to build a rapport with those people. It has to be done that way. Okay? And if it's not, it's just not going to happen. Read that carefully. Okay? Read it over and think of what we're saying. Okay? Proper service ensures that your client does not leave your company and become a client of another company in your market. That's happening all the time. It happens all the time. This involves ongoing communication and professional service. You can stay in touch with the people. Now, there's many ways of staying in touch, which always leads to additional business volume and a never-ending flow of new customers. You know, a number of years ago, my son Brian, Brian's just the greatest guy in the world. I really love Brian. And he was down in Phoenix. I used to get a little magazine. It wasn't a magazine. It was like a little booklet. It's called Bits and Bites. And it had positive sayings, maybe a little poem, positive quotes. And I subscribed to it, and Brian loved it. And one day he thought, we should send this to everybody that ever buys it with our company. And we do. We send millions out every week. Millions. Now it started with one. It's called Insight of the Day. Insight of the Day. If you don't get one, you should. We mail every day to you. And on Friday, we send you a story that you can read over the weekend. It's an inspirational story, just to leave you feeling really good. That's where the biggest part of our service really originated in his mind. He said, why don't we do this? So we stay in touch with people. There's all kinds of ways of doing this. Okay?
There we go. Awesome. There was some technical difficulties with my camera, but let's move the camera back over here. Let's go. All right, we're back in business with the nice camera, I think. Right? Nope. I need to hire like a technical guy. We're gonna go without the camera. All right, we're just gonna do it like this, okay? Old school. Old school. All right, without further ado, let's get straight into it. So right there, Bob Proctor just broke down the necessary steps psychologically, theoretically, on how to get to $10,000 a month. There's a couple things that I want to do now, breaking off into the second half of this podcast, is let's actually understand money. Napoleon Hill states that money is a language. And I believe that a person, or if I was to look back at myself, the days when I was sleeping in my car, I didn't fully understand money as I do today. And money is it's not something that you work for. It's something that you call out as if it's a language, and it comes to you as easily as water flowing down a river. And so what I want to do now is I want to share what we call the law of compensation. All right, let's see. If I go to the screen here, what does that do? Okay, looks like my whole computer just froze. Can you guys hear me? Let's see. Okay, that was like technical things going off. What is going on? All right, I don't know what's going on. My thing is going crazy right now. Hold on, guys. Let me get these slides for you. Law of compensation. All right. Hope you guys can see my screen right now. Okay. Let's talk about the law of compensation. The law of compensation clearly states three different things. Number one, it states this: the amount of money that you earn will always be an exact ratio to the need for what you do. The need for what you do. You must ask yourself, on the journey of earning your first $10,000 per month, is there a need for the service that you're going to be offering? Is there a need for what you do? Now, this is a question now on how would you want to start a business? I've struggled in business. I've succeeded in business for some time, and I would think the easiest thing to do is to actually join a business where there's already cash flow being created. Like, you don't have to create cash. You don't have to create traffic. You don't have to create demand. You know, Bob was talking about that earlier, that having to create demand. That is something that I personally haven't figured out, how to create demand in a marketplace. One thing that I like to do is imagine this. Imagine there's a flow of money. Sorry about that. 1 second. For example, there's Wi-Fi right now. You're using Wi-Fi to stream to watch this podcast, whether you're watching the recording or watching live. So right now, there's a stream of internet called Wi-Fi that allows you unlimited access of information, so you can go on Zoom, watch YouTube, watch Netflix, or be on this podcast. That's how you want to see money. There's an unlimited stream of money that's flowing already. And instead of trying to create a new flow, try to create and connect to a new Wi-Fi stream, why not just tap into what's already flowing? So the amount of money you earn will always be an exact ratio to the need for what you do. Why not join a business, start a business where there's already cash being created? For example, I started an Airbnb business. I travel a lot, and my apartment, I have a 1-bedroom apartment here downtown Miami, and one of what I believe is the best building in all of downtown. Okay. And in my 1-bedroom, I pay $4,000 a month in rent. Now, even though I pay $4,000 a month, I love to travel. I'm a traveler, and I like to travel every month for at least a week to, at minimum a weekend. But I wanted to go out to Colombia and South America for a couple months. But yet I did not want to give away $4,000 a month for free. So many of you guys have heard of the application called Airbnb. So Airbnb is already there's a need. There's a need. Do people need real estate? Do people need a place to stay? Yes. So there's already people searching for places to stay here in Miami. So there was already a Wi-Fi stream. There was already a stream of traffic or a stream of people wanting a service. I didn't have to go create something out of nowhere. A lot of people come up with business ideas just out of nowhere. They're like, what if I, start this kind of random business and I'm going to go door to door selling it? And I'm like, some people don't even want that. Most people don't even want that. They just pull ideas out of their butt. But you actually have to start a business where there's already a flow. There's already need for what you do. And so what I strategically did with my Airbnb listing, and by the way, I stumbled across Airbnb, this income stream, on accident. Like now I'm actually going to be scaling it out and acquiring more units over the next, a couple months. And my goal is to be at $100,000 a month passive with my Airbnb business, along with my other businesses. So what I do is I charge about $600 to $750 per day for my unit. So I have a guy coming in on Thursday. He's paid me almost $11,000 to stay in my apartment for 2 weeks. So think about that. That's almost $22,000 per month and I only pay $4,000 a month in rent. Well, why is it? Because there was a need for what I do, but what I did was I strategically positioned my unit to be a top tier, a resort-like experience. So the people that are coming into my units are not people that want to only spend $200-$300 a night, right? My people that are coming to this unit are the people that want to have an experience. They want the resort. They want to use the amenities, the spas. I invested into photography. I invested into a management team. I invested into a cleaning team. I invested into furniture. I invested into hospitality. I invested into so much stuff that raised my ability to do what I do so that I could charge a premium price, so that I could charge $700 per day for my 1-bedroom apartment. Something that's within 45 days that my business on Airbnb has grossed me over $26,000 in revenue in 45 days on accident. It's like when you start to understand money, it's like you can't run away from it. Money loves to hang out with the person that understands money. It just continues to flow to you. Another example of a business that I've started is this simple business working with Bob. Is there a need for what we do? Well, of course, Bob being in this industry for 60 years, there's a need of people wanting to understand their mind and how to achieve success. There's a need for what we do. Though what I had to get good at and what I have to continue to get good at, even on this podcast, is my ability to do it. How good are you at what you do? How good are you? So when you identify which business you want to start, or if you're thinking about jumping to a new business, or if you're thinking about scaling your business, number one, is there a need for what you do? If you're already getting sales and clients and customers, there's probably a need for what you do. So number two is your ability to do it. How good are you at what you do? And number three, the difficulty there will be in replacing you. You see, if it's hard to be replaced, if you're starting a business and you're so good at it that it is very difficult for you to be replaced, let me tell you, you will earn a lot of money. You see, Bob Proctor, and the reason he earned hundreds of millions of dollars while he was alive was he was not easy to replace. He had 60 years of experience. He had consistency. He was helping people. There would never be and will never be another Bob Proctor. But then again, you don't want to be that. So when we're looking at this, step number one, the need for what you do. Step number two, your ability to do it. Step number three, the difficulty there will be in replacing you. There's only one of these that you actually need to focus on. Which one do you think that is? Drop in the comment section below. So is it 1, 2, or 3? And the answer is, drum roll, number 2. Your ability to do it. So the law of compensation. So for the people that want to go and earn their first 6 and 7 figures this year, you must understand that you must first select a business or select a skill and get so good at it. And that is your main focus. If there's anybody in your industry, that is earning 6 and 7 figures, then that means number one, there's a need for what you do. And if you get very good at what you do, then naturally number 3 will fall into place. You'll become very difficult to replace when you're very good at what you do. So the most important of the 3 steps that you need to focus on to earn your first $10,000 a month in the next 3 months is to get very good at one thing, not many things, one thing. And that's one of the things like I'm doing on this podcast as I'm saying, should I be posting daily YouTube videos along with the podcast, or should I just be focusing on building a badass podcast? What could I be doing? So that's some stuff that I'm doing on my back end. And one of the things I realized is that there's a need for what I do, especially in my industry. Like, let me give you another example. We're going to take the law of compensation when it comes to my podcast now, right? We did the Airbnb business. We did my first 7-figure coaching business, and now we'll talk about this podcast. That way I can give you guys examples of how to apply this to your business to earn your $10,000 a month, because I'm not working with you one-on-one. There's a bunch of people watching live right now, so I'm doing kind of a blanket coaching, but so just take my examples and apply it to you. So let's take this podcast. Is there a need for what we do, for what I do on this podcast? I truly believe so. Teaching men how to become high-value men. Or in the sense that I'm not teaching them, but I'm gathering the information to share with them how to become a high-value man. Well, what is a high-value man? It's an adult male who is more influential and more valuable to the marketplace. That means he's earning good money, 6 to 7 figures. He's helping people. He has a good network. He has other high-value friends. He has a business that's serving people, and he's hard to replace because he's helping so many people, and people like him. That's a high-value man. So number one, check. There's a need for what I do. So if I look at my niche of teaching young men how to become high-value men, I check off on number one. But now the question I have to do, and as a man, and this is why I like to focus my call and my material towards men now, is that as a man, the world is tougher on you because you're expected to perform. As a man, you're judged on your performance. Women are judged on their beauty. We're talking about a superficial level here. Women are judged on their beauty. So think about this. We have a 25-year-old woman, fairly attractive. Let's just say she's a 7 on the beauty scale. And we have a 25-year-old male. Let's say he's also a 7 on the beauty scale, right? 7, handsome. Who has more opportunity in New York City? Who has more opportunity in Miami? If we just drop this 25-year-old woman who's a 7 on the beauty scale in Miami, and we drop this 25-year-old male who's a 7 also on the beauty scale, within 6 months, who will have more connections and opportunities and experiences, the 25-year-old male or the 25-year-old woman? Now, the easy answer to say is the 25-year-old woman. Well, why is that? Because in a major city, she is more valuable. She's more valuable because she gets judged based on her beauty. But guess what? There gets to a point where that woman turns 40 years old and she's no longer that beautiful woman. And this is where society has really gotten to some things messed up. But that's a whole other episode. Right now we're talking about the money side. But now the male. Let's talk about the male side. As a male, the only way that you can outperform a woman's beauty is by being successful, by winning the game of life. Not only in your finances, but being a good quality guy, having a network, being visible, and everything we talk about being a high-value man. So as a man, you get judged based on your performance. So it's number 2, your ability to do what you do. So if I want to get good at this podcast, if I want to have thousands of people watching, I have to get very good at this. Get very good at podcasting. Get very good at this entire system of what it means to tell a story and give people enough value so they want to come, not only watch the recording of my podcast and subscribe, but watch live and interact with the community. The DeAndre I am now, having 5 people watching me live, is not the same DeAndre that has 5,000 people watching me live. I'm a completely different guy when it comes to my skill set, my performance, my habits, and my ability to do what I do. And as I get very good at it, number 3, I become very difficult to replace because I'm so good at what I do. You see, that's another example of how to apply the law of compensation. All right, let me take a little break here and go to the chat. See how you guys are doing. Yes. Okay, cool. All right, we're rocking and rolling. All right, so let's go back into it. I love that you guys are loving this. So for those of you hopping in right now, we're talking about how to earn your first $10,000 per month. All right, we just covered the law of compensation. Now, let's dive into this a lot deeper. How do we actually start making money? Focus your attention on your ability to do it. Become a master at whatever you do. So let's talk about the 3 income strategies. Guys, I think that earning $10,000 a month is so crucial. I don't care what city you're in. There's so many opportunities to earn $10,000 a month. Guys, okay, here's this thing. If you're watching me right now, if you think that $10,000 a month is a lot of money, what I want you to do is this. I want you to have a set of goal for $10,000 a week. Yes. Some of you just got stumped. If you thinking that $10,000 is a lot of money or require you a lot of time, what I want you to do now is shorten that time frame. I want you to take your goal from $10,000 a month to $10,000 a week. Now, some of you are like, DeAndre, what are you talking about? The reason that is because it will cause you to think differently. For many of us humans, we think in a very linear manner. You think that, okay, right now I'm earning $6,000 a month at my job and I'm putting in 40 hours a week. If I bump it up to 60 hours or 70 hours a week, then I'll bump me up to, $8,000 a month. And then I'll start a side hustle for another $1,000 a month or something like that, right? So that's how a linear person would think. But if you're thinking, if you go from like, all right, I'm earning $6,000 a month and I want to be at $40,000 a month in the next 3 months, there's no logical answer for that. And that is where the key to change starts. You can't think logical or linear when it comes to earning multiple 6 and 7 figures a year. You have to think in a quantum way. How can you turn your annual income into your monthly income in the next 3 to 6 months? And that causes you to think outside the box. And thinking outside the box is what will allow you to make the shifts necessary. Now, there's 3 ways that you can start to earn this income. There's 3 ways. So let's talk about those 3 ways. Most people think they want more than they want. Most people think they want more money than they really do, and they settle for a lot less than they could actually have. So we're going to break down these income strategies into 3 different types: M1, M2, and M3. Get out your notebook, get out a pen and paper. Let's rock and let's roll. Let's talk about M1. Money stream number 1. Money stream number 1 is where 96% of the world sits. 96%. 96% of the world earn their income stream inside of M1. Well, let's talk about, what is M1 then? M1 looks a little something like this. Time over money. This person, where 96% of the world earns their income, is a person that trades time for money. If you are a doctor, if you have any kind of job right now that you clock in where you have a salary or hourly, you fall inside of the M1 category, which, by the way, is the most unstable form of income, because if you lose your job, you've lost 100% of your income. That is a very unstable way of living life and very irresponsible. It's okay for a period of time, but to live your life there, the entire life, is irresponsible as a man. It's your responsibility as a man to get very good at something where you have, if you want to stay at a job and be a doctor or a lawyer, fine. But it's very important that you have multiple sources of income. But in this category, I don't want to get too crazy on here, but it's imperative that you get out of the time for money struggle. That's M1. So let's talk about M2. 3% of the world earn their income inside of M2. Well, what is M2? M2 is a person that trades money for money. This is a person that trades money for money, or an investor. This is a person that almost anybody that's watching my YouTube channel right now is not gonna be in this category. That's just where I'm at in my life right now. I'm not some multi billionaire where I attract millionaires. So for the most part, the people that watch my channel are people that are a little under the 7-figure level, naturally, because that's where I'm at. So I'm going to attract people that want to get up to my level. So the most people that are watching this today are not going to be in this category. And this is kind of where the crypto people run into. This is where, not to throw shade on the crypto people, is there a chance that you could make a killing off of a coin? Yes, I've made a lot of money on crypto, putting in a couple $100 and walking away with tens of thousands. I've done that before. Okay. But the problem with that is it's unstable, inconsistent, and very risky for a person that's trading money for money. Now, this is when you get to the, when you have money working for you in investments in crypto. But if your main job is you earn active income at your job, or you're doing active stuff in your business, and you're trying to make money for money, you need a lot of money in order to have a sustainable growing income without pulling out your principal. So this is why only 3% of the world actually sit in this category. And now let's talk about M3, 1%. Only 1% of the world earn their money within M3, and that is this. M3 is multiple sources of income over time. Multiple sources of income over time. There gets a point, and I don't know if you've ever read the book, the Cash Flow Quadrant by Robert Kiyosaki, that really demonstrated this. I think it was that Rich Dad Poor Dad. That there gets a point that you either have a lot of time or you have a lot of money. The people that have a lot of time, if you were to look and you go down the first, 100 people in your contacts and you say, who has a lot of time? That person probably has no money. A person that has a lot of time typically does not have a lot of money. And if we were going to go do a second round through your contest and said, who's a person that has a lot of money? Then the person typically has no time. See, what happens when a person trades time for money, they're either short of one or the other. They're either short of money or they're short of time. When that person goes on vacation, their money goes on vacation with them. But when you have multiple sources of income multiplied by your time, what happens is the money buys back your time. This is why the rich keep getting richer, is because the wealthy use money to buy back their time. They build infrastructures, systems, hire management, and put people in place in leadership so they can have people running their businesses or multiple sources of income for them so that they can buy back their time with the income. Only 1% of the world actually earn their income in multiple sources of income. And our world is changing. The world is getting smaller. Things like think about this. Where are you watching today's podcast right now? You're probably nowhere within 50 miles of me right here in downtown Miami, but yet you're getting this knowledge from around the world. Think about this. 20 years ago, 30 years ago, this could not be done. To watch somebody live is not something that was possible 30 years ago. Alive on a computer at the comfort of, most likely you're watching on your phone or a laptop in your bedroom right now, and I'm teaching you how to get to $10,000 a month. Do you realize how ridiculous this was an idea 30 years ago? See, our world is changing. The world is getting smaller because of the digital age. But the issue is that people are using internet, Instagram, to distract themselves and entertain themselves rather than earn money. I think as a man, which, like I said, my channel is tailored towards men. If you're a woman watching this channel, that's totally fine. But I just talk to men, and that's the word here. As a man, if you're not earning $10,000 a month, why are we partying? Why are we going out? Why are we chasing women? Why are we doing anything other than getting to $10,000 a month? Once you get to $10,000 a month passively, not actively, passively, then go do whatever you want. I've made those mistakes. I was making mistakes where I would spend $10,000 in a day. Okay? So you want to get to the point where I made those mistakes so that you don't have to do that. Get to $10,000 a month using this phone, this laptop, the information that I'm giving you so that you can become better at what you do. Turn your annual income into your monthly income, because the world is small enough via the social media, Instagram, YouTube. Pick up the camera, pick up the phone, learn a business model, and get very good at what you do. Get very good at what you do. Let me get rid of this guy right here. There we go. Become very good at what you do. The law of compensation, your ability to do it. Find a business model where it's cash flow already being created. I typically like to start businesses where I don't have to put up that much cash into it. Maybe to start, like for example, to start with Bob, I had to put $5,000 on a credit card. To start my Airbnb business, obviously I already had my Airbnb. You could, like, for example, one of the businesses that I'm going to scale out is my Airbnb business. My goal is to be at $100,000 a month on my Airbnb business passively by the end of the year. This my current Airbnb here is cash flowing me about $20,000 a month already. Like, while I travel, I'm getting paid to travel. There's so many different income opportunities that you have. Then I have this YouTube channel that's also paying me. Then I'll have coaching coming from, like, there's so many different sources, but you got to put your feelers out there. Find a need for what you do. Number 2, get very good at it. Don't try to start 3 businesses at the same time. Start one business and get very good at it. Start one business and get very good at it. Don't be half pregnant on 5 different businesses. Do not be half pregnant on 5 different businesses. Double down on one and become a master at that. How do you know you're a master? You're earning 7 figures a year. 7 figures a year, I believe. 7 figures a year in one business model allows you the benefit to skip to another business. There's some people that say they're a Forex trader and they're this guy and they're a real estate agent and all of this. I'm like, all right, great. What's your monthly income? Less than $10,000 a month. Then you don't have a business. You have the benefit of jumping to another business or selling another product when you are earning $100,000 a month or 7 figures a year in that one business or that one course. When you're on that level, now you can move on to the next side. So it's number 2, your ability to get so good at what you do that it is very hard to replace you. Therefore, the demand for your specific product or service goes up in value. Your price goes up, your product value goes up, and your customer service goes up as well. And that's how you start to earn the 6 and 7 figures a year. This is what I'm doing for the podcast. Like, for example, my professional camera just died. Well, there's a reason. I wasn't prepared. I should have been charging it an extra hour before the call, right? So there's these little things that I'm learning to make this podcast a better experience. I realize that if I want to grow this podcast, it can't just be me speaking here. That it's better for me to invite a guest on and we have a great conversation on what it means to be a high-value man coming from a high-value man. I'm not saying I'm that. I'd rather bring a guy in and interview him and have him explain it to the audience. And that will be another growth in the podcast, along with him bringing on his network. Do you see how a slight shift in your mindset can alter your business, can alter your income? You got to think outside the box. It's your ability to do what you do and how good you are at it that will determine how much money that you'll be earning moving into the next 3 months. Here's the real question. Is it possible for you to be at $10,000 a month in the next 3 months? Yes. I believe it's possible for you to be at $10,000 a month by the end of this month. In 9 days, was it 10 days, 11 days, whatever that is. I think, let's just say 30 days, all right? Some of you, we got to up your thinking. I truly believe in the next 30 days, anybody can put an extra 10 grand in their pocket. The question is how? Thinking. There's so many different businesses. We just talked about 3 different ways that will allow you to do this. Find a need of cash flow that's already been created. Airbnb, Amazon FBA, Shopify, drop shipping. There's so many different things that you can do. Then get very good at it. Become so damn good at it. And most of it has to do with sales, by the way. If you get very good at sales, you'll never be broke. Get good at selling stuff. And then number 3, you'll become very difficult to replace, and that's how you'll earn your first 10 grand. Guys, when you start to understand money, it just flows into you. No matter what, like, I earn over $20,000, $30,000, $50,000 per month. Why? Because I just have feelers out there. Like, this Airbnb business is something I stumbled across on top of my other businesses, and it's cash flowed me almost close to 30 grand in a matter of 45 days. It's like when you understand money, it just flows to you. The question is, how much are you implementing? How much are you implementing? All right, I got a question right here. Young Finest says, what's the difference between passion and something you're good at? That's really good. That's a really good question. I've been asking myself this question as well. The question is this: what's the difference between passion and something you're good at? Well, if you're really good at something, you're most likely going to get paid for it, right? You're most likely going to get paid for something that you're really good at. And now the question is, who thinks you're really good at it? Does your mom think you're good at it? Do you think you're good at it? Or does the marketplace think you're good at it? Remember, this channel is all about teaching men how to become better versions of themselves. And as men, we're going to be direct here. Where does your value come from as a man? Drop in the chat right now. As a man that, or as a young man, or as a man watching this channel right now, and you're positioning yourself to become a high value man, who determines your value? Drop in the chat right now. Who's been watching? Is it your mom? Is it your girlfriend? Is it yourself? Or is it the marketplace? Drop in the chat right now. Is it your mom? Is it your girlfriend? Is it yourself? Or is it the marketplace? Which of the four determines your value in the marketplace as a man? Boris has it right. The marketplace determines that. So the question here for Young Finest is, if you're good at something, the marketplace will reward you for it and will pay you. It will pay you for it. So if you're not getting paid for something that you quote is you're good at, I'm not saying you, my friend, personally, but this example. If you are saying you're good at something, but the marketplace says you're not, then you're not good at it. Because remember, as a man, we get judged on our performance in the marketplace. And if you're not earning money, that means you're not that good. You're not that good. But if you are earning money, that means you're onto something good, which would fall in number one of the law of compensation, which is there's a need for what you do. Once you start getting your first 3 clients, there's a need for what you do. Now it's going to fall into how good are you at executing on that. Now, the other part of your question, what's the difference between passion and something you're good at? Passion, I think it's something that's within the heart. It's something that's within the heart. Now, can your passion lead you to being something that you're good at? Of course. And that's something that I advocate. There's certain mentors out there that say only do stuff that makes you 6 and 7 figures, and anything else that's not that is bullshit. I don't want to live like that. I want to love what I do, love my life, and earn a lot of money in the process. So what's a really good idea? I see that you're 21 years old. And if let's just say 21, you can definitely be earning 6 figures, but in this year at least, easy. Here's what I would do: is if you want to follow your passion, get very good at it. If for the people that want to follow their passion and earn $10,000 a month or more in their passion, then what you got to do is step number 1 is there a need for what you do. Getting 3 clients or having 3 people pay you for what you're passionate about has now identified that there's a need for what you do. 3 clients, 3 people is all you need to pay you for you to be verified that there's a need for what you do. 3 people. Now, number 2 is how good are you going to get at what you do? How obsessed are you going to be about getting after and becoming the best at what you do? See, I have a passion about this podcast. I don't know. I think we're on episode like 18 or something like that. I forgot to number this one, but I'm passionate about it. But to be honest with myself, I'm not that good at it yet. I saw we have about 7 people watching live. I'm not that good at it yet. But see, as a man, I can eat that. And that's today's episode is about money, but that's thing that some women can't do is women can't eat the truth. And sometimes men are not willing to tell women the truth, where men get faced the truth all the time, or people in business especially, because the number right there says 5 people watching live and 2 likes. That means that is how good I am at the marketplace right now. Now, that is a hit to my ego because I think that I have this grand vision of putting 1,000 people on this podcast, but I have to be real with myself right now and say, DeAndre, looking at myself in the mirror, I'm not that good at this podcasting yet. I'm consistent. Whoa, I don't know what happened there. Hold on, guys. Can you hear me? Where did my camera go? Hold on. Hold on, guys. There we go. I don't know what that that's what happens. Part of the podcast. Anyways, let's get back to it. So as a man, I have to look at myself in the mirror and say, DeAndre, I'm not that good at what I'm doing. Why is that? Because look at the numbers. 6 people live, 3 likes. And if I see myself having 6,000 people watching and 3,000 likes, then I have to focus on what? Number 2, my ability to execute this podcast. My ability to execute this experience, making sure that audio is working, making sure that quality content, maybe bringing on a speaker, something that I can boost up the quality of the show or the perceived value. That way I have more people watching the podcast. And as it starts to grow, I get reinforced that what I'm doing is working. And the marketplace will tell me as a man how valuable I am at this podcast. I have to be so honest with myself. And as a man, you got to be honest with yourself. Look at the numbers. Look at your bank account. If you're a broke man right now, that's okay. It's not okay to stay there, but it's okay to be a broke man right now. But what you do starting right after this call is your choice. It's your choice. Be honest with yourself. Look at yourself in the mirror and determine, how has the marketplace rewarded you lately? How much money is in your bank account? How much have you earned over the last coming months? How many sources of income do you have right now? These are things as a man, you've got to get honest with yourself so that you can make the necessary changes. If you keep lying to yourself, you won't make those changes. I got another question from a man here. Where does one start? I have this image of myself who wants to be, but I don't know where to start. Okay, so my man, this is a really good question, man. Maybe you can send me a message on Instagram because we're gonna hop off the podcast here in a minute. But I talked about having purpose. I think it was episode 1 or episode 2 of the podcast. So go back to episode 1 of the podcast where I talked about you got to have a purpose as a man. So right now, just based on that question, you don't know your purpose yet. As a man, you wake up and you don't know where you're going yet, and that's okay. You're 21, but you want to do that. Okay, Gabriel. Yeah. So Gabriel, so you want to wake up and you got to know what your purpose is. What is your goal? Where are you going? And in episode 1 or 2, we talked about purpose. Finding your purpose and moving in that direction. It's your GPS. All right. And maybe we could talk about it. Like I said, send me a direct message on my Instagram. And then I can just give you some free value there. All right, my man, we are over time. Guys, thank you so much for being here on the Saxton show. There was so much going on. Camera went off. This camera went off, but we're rocking and rolling because it's not just the camera. It's the value I provided. Hopefully I served you guys at a highest level so that you guys can go out there and earn your first $10,000 in the next 3 months. This is your man, DeAndre Saxton. I'll see you guys next time. Take care.